Hey everybody, Wes from PC Gamer here, and today I'm excited to finally be able to share with you some gameplay from Elden Ring Nightreign. This is the first time that FromSoftware's new 3-player co-op roguelike has broken cover with an extended look at 4 of the 8 playable characters that I mentioned in my preview. Today we've got Wylder, Guardian, Duchess, and the Recluse, and you're going to see how they play differently, how the frenetic pace of the combat compares to the base game of Elden Ring, how Nightreign borrows from Battle Royale elements, and how a full roguelike run of the game builds to a crescendo in a huge boss arena. But that's only after you've survived 2 days on this remixed map of Limgrave and 2 nights where you have to fight big, though not as big, bosses. A quick disclaimer, FromSoftware gave us access to this footage, so it's not us playing. So it's somewhat curated, but it does give you a good sense of what the game plays like. And you're going to get to see the 4 characters that I went hands-on with at that event. So let's get to it. So the character you're seeing the most of in this footage is Wylder, who's your kind of all-rounder knight hero with a grappling hook and a really powerful close-range attack for an ult. There's also Guardian, who's a half-bird, half-man tank of a hero. Starts with a heavy shield and can block a lot of damage. Guardian can also stagger enemies with this whirlwind attack and can fly up into the air and then dive bomb back down with an ult that deals a lot of AoE damage. There's also Duchess, who's a speedy, kind of scout-like character in Nier Automata cosplay, equipped with a magic dagger. Duchess dodges with an elegant sidestep rather than the usual roll, and an incredibly powerful ability that lets her re-deal the last few seconds of damage that both you and your allies have done to a nearby enemy all over again. And the 4th character that I got to play as was the Recluse, who's a very frail mage, the most complex character of the bunch, who I spent the least amount of time with as a result, because I didn't want to constantly be dying while I was playing. But I think doubtless will be very powerful in the hands of skilled players once people have a lot of time to actually tuck into Nightreign. The Recluse has the ability to absorb elements from enemies, which sounds a little confusing, but it's based on kind of the last thing that's hit them, what elemental affinity that attack might have, whether it's bleed, poison, fire, ice, etc. She can basically absorb those essences, and then after absorbing a certain number and storing them up, can unleash them in a special attack that changes based on what you've absorbed. Your build in Nightreign is influenced by whatever items you pick up. Just having different weapons in your inventory can grant you passive benefits, like for example this long shaft axe that gives you 10% damage buff to the last hit of a chain attack. This system means that the usual huge souls inventory is gone. You can hold 3 armaments in your left and right hand slots, and since this is a roguelike, loot is way more abundant and randomized than the hand-play specific items that you would find in Elden Ring or the Souls games. So on Nightreign's map, you'll see icons next to the different fortresses and encampments indicating what kind of foe you can expect to fight there. And you can place a pin on the map for where you want to go next that your teammates can see, and they can even pin the same spot to sort of acknowledge they want to go there. I found that the best strategy was seemingly rushing to the churches that kind of dot the outer edges of the map, because each one of those churches will grant you an extra healing flask that comes in really handy, especially during the boss fights. I'm curious how players are going to feel about battling certain enemies in Nightreign. For example, this Wormface field boss can inflict the Deathblight status, which will just instantly kill you if it builds up too much. In Elden Ring, you can be really deliberate about facing these kind of enemies in terms of equipping certain armor and having like the right items at the ready to deal with those status effects. But you're in such a rush in Nightreign that really isn't an option. You just gotta get good and not get hit, I guess. The dormant powers you get to choose after beating the bosses at the ends of Night 1 and Night 2 can offer some really significant buffs, and they'll help you hone in on a specific type of build, like prioritizing spells or dealing poison damage, for example. Not everyone who's played Nightreign has actually made it to day 3, which teleports you away from the Limgrave map to an arena where you fight the final boss of the run. Luckily, my team and I at FromSoftware's offices in Tokyo back in December managed to beat this Cerberus boss twice once we get the hang of working together. I'll just note that that was not the final name of the boss. They hadn't kind of finalized the English translation yet. I'm not sure if it actually has a name, but you can see why I'm calling it Cerberus. It has some really dangerous range on the chained sword that it can whip at you, and some really powerful fire attacks. But once you get the feel for dodging those and know when to keep your distance, it's not too tough. This is the only end-of-run boss that FromSoftware has shown so far, but I'm really hoping that it has more than just 1 or 2 others that it's keeping secret. It's a good fight, but it's not a boss that I really want to do dozens and dozens of times. And that remains sort of the last outstanding question about Nightreign, is just how much variability it's really going to have. So as you can tell, I'm excited to see how much FromSoftware is still holding back about Elden Ring Nightreign. I think the game is really fun, but I'm not fully convinced on its replayability just yet. We just need to see more. But we're not going to have to wait long for that, as Nightreign's going to be out really soon. It's coming out in May, which is just a few months away. So what about you? Which characters are you hoping to play as first? What do you think of this new, faster-paced offering from FromSoftware? Let us know in the comments, and make sure you subscribe to PC Gamer here on YouTube to stay up to date with the latest news on Elden Ring Nightreign.